So usually the backdrop of my videos are my 3 beautiful bookcases that sit behind me and display all of my beautiful books. But all of the books that you don't see are here. This is my huge TBR pile. These are all of the unread books that I currently own. I don't know how many there are. I have it on this little post-it note, but it has grown significantly since I did the post-it note count. So I just thought, we're going into a new year. It would be nice to know what's on my TBR and to try and whittle it down this year. So I thought at the beginning of 2021, it would be nice to just take stock and have a look at what's on my TBR, what I want to prioritise, and start making some goals about how to reduce it this year. Because it is really getting out of hand. I am terrified that this is going to just... I mean, if you look at it from kind of round here, it just looks like one pile. And the one pile is big, but then you kind of move around the side, and it's 3 piles. 3 huge piles. So... yeah. So in today's video I will be taking you on a magical mystery tour of my TBR, which will also be a mystery to me, because I'm not gonna lie, some of the books buried deep in there, like in the last pile at the bottom, will be books that I bought or acquired years ago. So this is as much of a surprise to me as it is to you, let's be honest. So the first book on the top of the first pile is Bittersweet Within My Heart, The Love Poems of Mary, Queen of Scots. I picked this up in a charity shop, and it's just the love poems of Mary, Queen of Scots, I believe. I bought this because I thought it was a really nice book and that it would be a really nice kind of historical document, and that I'd never really heard of it before, that Mary, Queen of Scots not only wrote poetry, but that they were available and that they were all about love. So I'm very excited to read this. Maybe around Valentine's Day, that would be really nice. The next book is The Happy Prince and Other Stories by Oscar Wilde, and this is the Rhodes Children's Classics edition. I believe I got this in Dublin with my mum from a museum gift shop, and I'm very excited to read it. The only Oscar Wilde text that I've read is The Importance of Being Earnest that we studied at school, and I really loved it, and I'm looking forward to checking out some of his other work. Then we have Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor, which is very shiny. Look at that shine. And this is the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I remember really loving the first book, but it has been a while since I've read it, so I might have to do a reread before I dive into this one. And then we have The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. And I saw the wonderful staged version of this at the National Theatre, and it was gorgeous, and I'm really excited to finally get to the book. And next we have Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, and controversial. I have never read a Brandon Sanderson book before. I bought it based on a friend's recommendation because it was a standalone one and I was too scared to like commit to a big, huge high fantasy series. So I bought the standalone just to check it out, see if I liked it, and then I heard lots of gross things about Brandon Sanderson as an author, like I think he was against gay marriage and stuff. But then I heard that he like changed his ways and that he has lots of diverse characters in his books now. So I was like really conflicted about like how I felt about reading his books, so I just didn't read it, and it's still on my TBR. So if anyone knows the tea, if anyone knows what is up, please let me know, and let me know whether I should read this or not. And then we have this lovely little hardback copy of Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys that I found in a charity shop. It might fall apart, it's quite aged looking, but I just loved this illustration on the cover. And Wide Sargasso Sea, I believe, is a prequel to Jane Eyre, which is funny because I've not read Jane Eyre, but Wide Sargasso Sea follows the backstory and the kind of origin story of the woman in the attic. So if you've read Jane Eyre, you'll know who that is. It's a character in Jane Eyre who doesn't really get, I'd say, fair treatment, and then Wide Sargasso Sea basically aims to kind of rectify that and give her like a proper story, I believe. And then we have The Queen, beautiful Angela Carter's book of fairy tales. I love Angela Carter, I talk about her all the time. I think if there's one author I'd love to have met, it would have been Angela Carter. I just think she has some really interesting things to say and just can write like nobody's business. So obviously this is a big thick book, and I'll probably be dipping in and out of this as the year goes on. It won't be one that you read in one sitting, but I'm so excited to get to this. We then have Monsters of Brookhaven, a book that I just hauled, which is a middle grade book kind of centered around this old house, and like it discusses the nature of monsters and what we believe to be monsters and why, I think. We then have Love and Colour by Bolo Babalola, another book that I just recently hauled, and this is mystical tales from around the world, all centering around love and the different forms that love can take. We then have The Vanishing Half by Burt Bennett, a book that doesn't really need an introduction on BookTube. Everyone was mad about this, and I just recently hauled this as well, so you're probably bored of me talking about it. Pandora's Jar by Natalie Haynes, another one from my recent haul. And The Betrayals by Bridget Collins, the last book from the book haul that I just did. We then have Troy by Stephen Fry, a retelling of the Trojan War. And Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam, which is meant to be like a Shirley Jackson-esque creepy story that I'm very excited to read. We have Rick Riordan's latest, which is very shiny indeed. We have a book called The Furies by Katie Lowe, which I purchased at Yalc, and if you can see, I'm already like 100 pages into. I was buddy reading it with my best friend B, and we both kind of fell off of this book, and we want to get back to it at some point. And at the very bottom of the first pile, we have a book that has a stain on it. That's really annoying. That looks like a sticker was there and then left a mark. Why do they put stickers on books? I'll never understand. And this is Creativity Inc. Overcoming the Unseen Forces That Stand in the Way of True Inspiration by Ed Catmull, who was the president at Pixar. Woo! And now we can see the entirety of the second pile, which I haven't seen in like a year and a half. Right, I realised the way that I was doing at first was not good, taking them down one by one, because it just left me with a bunch of single books lying around my floor. So I'm just going to talk about them and point, and then I'll take them all off in one go. I don't know why I'm explaining that. You don't need to know the behind the scenes of how this video is working. Spoiler alert, it isn't working that well. So the first book on the second pile is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, and I'm really annoyed at myself because I missed my window to read it this year. Obviously it's set during Christmas time, and it's not the law. You don't have to read it during Christmas time, but I just thought it would have been a nice thing to do to read it during Christmas time. And I didn't, which is really irritating. And then underneath that we have Fleabag, the play by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I love the TV show, so I will definitely be getting to that at some point soon. We then have Staying Alive, Real Poems for Unreal Times, which is a poetry collection by Neil Astley, and it comes like highly recommended whenever you Google like good poetry recommendations. That's the one that's always coming up first, so I'm very excited to read that. I really got back into poetry in 2020 and I found my love for it again, so I'm really excited to kind of dive in and find some more poets to read. Then underneath that we have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which I've never read, despite the fact I love Mary Shelley. I love her as an icon, as a person, what she stands for. I think she's a really interesting historical figure. She basically invented the sci-fi genre when she was a teenager. Like, iconic queen. So obviously that's one that I want to get to probably around Halloween. I might make plans to read that around that time. Then underneath that we have this little tiny thin book, which is Our Ladies of Perpetual Succor, which is a play adapted from the novel The Sopranos by Alan Warner. I saw that at the National Theatre and I loved it, so I bought the play. It's also now a movie called Our Ladies that I also saw at the BFI Film Festival, so I'm pretty a fan of that story. I have the novel version, I have the play version, and I've seen the film. And it works in all mediums. And then under that, this little blue book here is Birthday Letters by Ted Hughes, and I believe it is letters that Ted Hughes wrote for his wife, Sylvia Plath, on her birthday. And that will be a nice insight into a very, what should we say, unconventional marriage? Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Then underneath that we have two YA books, I believe, My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Warga and Paper Aeroplanes by Dawn O'Porter. I don't know much about either of them, but I'm in kind of a YA, like teen angst mood, probably because of the novel that I'm writing from NaNoWriMo, so I'm excited to get to those. And then we've got Princess Jellyfish, Volume 2, a lovely manga that I really like and I would recommend if you're trying to get into manga. That's quite a nice one to start with. It is very fluffy and very fun, and I'm looking forward to continuing that series this year. Then after Princess Jellyfish we have Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Graudin, and I have no idea what that's about. It was gifted to me by my friend Rebecca, and I'm very excited to read it. I think she said it was set kind of in World War II times, might be like a spy thriller. I don't know a lot about it. If you do, please let me know in the comments. And then that big orange book there is volume 3 of Goodnight Pumpkin, which is a manga series that is my boyfriend's favourite ever, so he lent me the first 3 volumes and they're tucked away somewhere in this TBR pile that I need to get to so I can give those back to him. Then we have Ali Smith, How to Be Both, and Ali Smith is an author I've heard so much about since coming onto BookTube, and I have not read a single one of her books, and I really want to rectify that this year, so hopefully I can get to How to Be Both as soon as possible. Then we have 2 plays, The James Plays and Angels in America. I saw both of them at the National Theatre, and Andrew Garfield was in Angels in America, and he was just incredible. That play is incredible. It's really very good. Then under that we have Trainspotting, and I've seen the film but have not yet read the book. All the way down here, this tiny little book is a Stranger Things A to Z unofficial, so and then right at the bottom of pile number 2 we have 4 books by Angela Carter. We've got Heroes and Villains, The Infernal Desire Machines of Dr. Hoffman, Expletives Deleted, and Wise Children. And I've already waxed lyrical about Angela Carter in this video, so obviously I need to get to all of those books that I haven't read by her. What a fake Angela Carter stan I am. Then under Miss Angela Carter we have The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, another one that I've been telling myself I'm going to read for years and still have not. I need to read it. I've been wanting to read it ever since the TV show came out because I wanted to read the book before the show, and now I'm like catastrophically behind and they're on like season 5 and I still haven't read it, so. Then under Miss Atwood is Blade Runner by Philip K. Dick, and I enjoy the aesthetic of the films. I wouldn't say it's like a favourite film, but I was intrigued enough to buy the novel at some point, so we'll see if I get to that. And then at the very bottom is the one, the only, the big beast, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. And I've talked about this book before. It's one of those ones that just stays on the TBR because everyone talks about how devastating and life-ruining it is. So I just don't know when I'm going to read it, because like, you don't want to read it when you're happy because then it'll make you sad, and you don't want to read it when you're sad because it'll make you more sad. So what do? I don't know. I'll get to you at some point. I'll get it. I'll get there. And we are finally on the last pile. Look at how haphazard that is. How has that not collapsed? Jesus Christ. So at the very top of the last pile we have Little Threats by Emily Schultz, which is a dark academia novel I just got for Christmas. We then have Lost at Sea by John Ronson, another book I got for Christmas, and also The Sisters Grimm, another book I got for Christmas. And if you want to know more about those, you can look at my books I got for Christmas video. I will link it somewhere in the description or the cards or whatever. People say that, don't they? The cards. Need to still work out what that is, but I'll link it somewhere. And then we have a bright yellow book called The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, and I really want to read that soon because it takes place at a New Year's Eve party, so it would be very silly if I didn't read it sometime around the New Year's. I know I'm a bit late, but hopefully I can still get in the mood and read that. It is a thriller, so I really want to be kind of whisked away. We then have Me and White Supremacy by Layla F. Saad, which is obviously a very important book that was on everyone's timelines and radars around the Black Lives Matter protests, and I really want to get to that one this year. Under that we have The Hours by Michael Cunningham. My mum loves the film, which I think is why I picked this up in a charity shop. I don't have that much knowledge about what it's about, but I know the film has Meryl Streep in it and it's meant to be very, very good. And then we have The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and I am so surprised. How have I not been run off of BookTube for not having read The Book Thief yet? That is like everyone's favourite book, and I haven't read it. I'm sorry. I want to. I really want to. Under The Book Thief we have Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and I just read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and loved it, so I am very eager to check out more of V.E. Schwab's books, and so I will be doing that very soon, I think. And then we have More Than This by Patrick Ness. Patrick Ness was an author of me. He still is, I just haven't bought his books in a while because I've been on an alleged buying ban. We all know that doesn't work. but Patrick Ness always writes such beautiful lyrical YA, and so I really want to get to that. We then have Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, which I've heard a lot about. I believe it's like a travelling circus at the end of the world type vibe, so might be good to read now, kind of apocalypse vibes, you know. Then that huge yellow beast of a book is the 13.5 Lives of Captain Bluebear, and it's like a huge 800-page book, and it has wonderful illustrations in it, and I'm very excited to read that. Then tucked under Bluebear we have yet another Angela Carter book, and that one is The Magic Toy Shop, which I also want to read because I love Angela Carter. Allegedly, I say I love Angela Carter, and I have all of her books just sitting here gathering dust. And then we have another V.E. Schwab book, which is The Dark Vault, and that is the archived and the unbound novels. I think that's a bind up. We then have 2 volumes of Goodnight Pumpkin, which is my boyfriend's favourite graphic novel series, and I promise that I will get that back to him soon. I'm sorry if you're watching, Kirian, you will get it back, I promise. And then underneath that we have, I believe that is a poetry book by Lang Leave, which I was given by my friend Lucy when she was clearing out her bookshelves. And then under that we have The Sopranos by Alan Warner, which I just mentioned. I have the play version of that story, and I'm excited to read that one. Then underneath that we have State of Sorrow by Melinda Salisbury. I must have wanted to read that at some point, and I have no memory of what it's about, but I'll give it a go. And then tucked under State of Sorrow, I have no idea what that little thin book is. Let me try and have a look without killing myself. No, oh my god. Wait. Oh Jesus Christ. Hello? That's not gone well. Right, I've taken everything out. Moment of truth. What is it? What is it? Ba-da-ba-da! A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. Another book that I told myself I really wanted to read, yet it's still here. And then for some reason we have The Princess Saves Herself in this one by Amanda Lovelace. I don't know what this is doing on my TBR pile. I have already read this book and I did not like it at all, so I don't need to keep this. Okay, we're on to the last little pile, and oh my god, I literally forgot I owned all of these books, and that is the nice thing about doing this video, is I'm like, ooh, I have so many books that I didn't know that I had that I'm looking forward to. Unfortunately, I also have 2 huge Game of Thrones books, which I don't think I bought. I think my friend Lucy was clearing out some of her books and she gave them to me. This was back before Game of Thrones turned into like the show that should not be named, you know. It was before they went and did that with the last season, so I still had some interest in the story, and you know what, I don't know if I still do, so we'll see. I don't know if I'll read those. Then we have 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez there, and I want to read that because my mum said that he's amazing, and I believe her. And then underneath that we've got Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk, whatever that name, I think yep. And obviously Fight Club is a very famous film, and I think I bought the book with the intention of reading it and then watching the film, and I've done neither, so. Then underneath that we've got Where Angels Fear to Tread by E.M. Forster. I have no idea why I own that. It's a Penguin classic. I'm not a Penguin classic gal. So I'm trying to think, maybe I think I must have bought it for school and then I ended up not needing it or something. I do not think I would have bought that for myself, so we'll see. Then underneath that we have The Bluest Eye, which I did buy for school, but I didn't end up studying that book because we had to, you know, read a selection and then we got to pick which books we did coursework on, and I didn't end up doing The Bluest Eye, so I didn't fully read it, and I definitely want to this year. Then at the very bottom we have this book, Seraphina, there you are, and I just know that's about dragons, that's it, that's all I know. Then High Fidelity by Nick Hornby. Again, I think my parents liked the film and that's why I bought it. I don't know much about it, except it's set in a records shop, I think, maybe. And then at the very bottom of the very last pile, we have The Martian by Andy Weir. And I think I bought that because I enjoyed the film. Right, so there we have it. That's the last little pile of my TBR. And I've got just stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks. So, we've made a mess, and we've just had a little count, and the final total for the number of books on my TBR is 70 books, because I had to include the Dame Darcy book that I couldn't fit in the pile, but I still want to read and it's on my TBR this year. 70 books. 70 books. Despite the mess and the kind of overwhelming amount of books that I now have to read, this video was good. My goal for 21 is 100 books anyway, so in theory I should be able to obliterate my TBR and be able to start fresh some point soon next year. So we'll see how that goes. Tune in at the end of the year, see how we did. But thank you so much for watching this video, and please make me feel less bad about having a humongous TBR, and tell me about your humongous TBR in the comments. I will see you soon with another video soon. Bye.